the story is that my dad was a graduate of 1942 CA at Claremore High School. So on Sunday morning, he was down there sharpening lawnmower blades and fixing, bicycles when they announced the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Okay. And then he joined and shipped out in September of 1942. And so he went to Great Britain with the 8th Air Force. And
now, when he joined, did he not have several classmates join the same day?
There was 7 of them.
7 of them.
Again, as my memory.
All Claremore grads.
All Claremore, of which Norman Lanto was a classmate of his.
All right.
And Norman was in that first group that went, I think, to Fort Sill. Could be corrected on that. But some of the names of the people. George Pritchard, also known as G. Pritchard, his dad, George, was in that group. Sam Webb, a longtime resident here, was in that group. Norman Lanto was in that group. And I can't remember the other 2, but again, in the Claremore Progress, that's been well noted.
Yeah.
And then from that, they all went different directions. And of course, Norman
went through boot camp probably together.
That's right, all the way through.
It was the Army, I believe, they joined.
Yes. Well, the boot camp was the Army.
Yeah.
But then if you joined the Army Air Corps at some point after you did your boot camp,
that's where your dad was at.
Yes.
And he went to England.
Yeah, via Spokane, Washington. And in Spokane, he bumped into a guy that was an OMA cadet. And I forgot the first name. His last name was Fox. Worked for the Tulsa Tribune after the war. Red Fox. No, that's a comedian. His last name was Fox, but when he's up in Spokane during his in processing, he's standing there, and the sergeant, when he was in processing, told him to sit down, and he's sitting there, and so the guy asked him, "Where are you from?" He said, "Claremore, Oklahoma." And he says, "Man, I was an OMA cadet." And they dawned on him that they knew each other, But Fox was a little older, about 3 years. So they went to...
so 1,500 miles apart from being here, they meet each other.
So my dad went from Spokane. He did listing of maintenance on B-17s. So he got shipped to Great Britain, and I think they ported at Liverpool after a bombing. And I remember my dad telling me when they got off the troop transport, they were carrying everything on their back, and they were walking through Liverpool, and everything was on fire. And Raymond said, I remember reading Dante's Inferno. He said, then I'm thinking I'm living it, walking through there. Mm-hmm. And he wound up in around Ipswich in England in Parham 153 bomber base. Which is hard to find because they don't list it as Parham 153. But I've been there.
You've been there?
Yeah. And then they were...
was he able to go back with you? Or just...
No, he went back quite a few times.
Oh, okay.
I've been over 3 or 4 times, 5 times, but I never did one with my folks. But